I got to the point where I don't even think I looked in the mirror. The denial was that much. So I used to buy things to pretty much hide myself. I wouldn't eat breakfast, so by sort of 10, 11 o'clock, I was absolutely starving. I'd go down the cafe and I'd have a full breakfast. Possibly a couple of hours later, a couple of rolls or sandwich, whatever. Then I'd come home, a few beers, takeaway, Chinese. Do that 3 times a week, 4 times a week. It soon piled on. I saw 24.5 stone. And I always knew that I was big, but to see it in front of you, that's when it hits home. Because of my family history, I had an ECG where they monitored my heart, and you know, lying on a bed in hospital, wired up to this machine, all I could think was, you know, I'm only 36, I shouldn't be here. I think the difference with LighterLife is it changes the way you look at food and makes you realise it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle change. Being abstinent for a long period of time and taking food out of the equation makes you look at things totally differently. The fact that I went for 4 months without physically eating makes you realise a lot of stuff. I learned a lot about myself in that time, and I realised there's certain things in life that made me turn to food. Stress, pressure at work, stuff like that. If I came home and I was angry, I would eat. And it wasn't till I couldn't do it because I was on the programme, things like that changed. And instead of coming home and eating, I'd go down the gym. And you know, focus my aggression, and you know, the sort of where I would have turned to food in the past, I went out on my bike. I work in construction, and being on a building site, especially as part of being in a managerial role on a building site, you get a certain amount of people do look up to you, and part and parcel of being in construction is the environment of going to the CAF. I didn't want my life to go on hold, so I decided that even though I was doing the programme, I would still go to the CAF every day. I got quite a bit of stick, you know, sitting there at the CAF, everyone's got their breakfast and they're going, oh, how's your milkshake, or how's, you know, your cereal bar? But once they saw that I was committed and the weight was coming off and the rate that the weight came off and my attitude changed, the support that I got from colleagues as well as friends was absolutely fantastic. So I think with the tools that you're taught in LighterLife, and the way that they go into the psychological side of it is so much more beneficial than just losing weight. It just makes it that much easier, because I know if I hadn't had those strict guidelines set out, I more than likely would have just gone back to eating normally, or not eating normally, eating how I used to eat. I consider myself to eat normally now, whereas before I didn't. I was no longer needed to be on the blood pressure tablets, I wasn't on cholesterol tablets, I had no medication at all anymore. My blood pressure had dropped, you know, to an absolutely healthy level. I try as much as I can now to cycle to and from work. It's about a 20-mile round trip, and if I can do that 3 days a week, I'm quite happy. Now when I look at my before and after pictures, and I sit there and I think to myself, that was what I was like. This is what I'm like now. There is no way to feel, I can't explain how that feels.